Justice, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, mediators, it's a great pleasure and honor to present to you the participant of this Intake 7 of the Mediation Capacity Building Program. This program, undertaken by the Judiciary of Rwanda, started in 2018 with a small group of lawyers and judges. But since then, the number of participants continued to grow. This program is implemented by Edward Mediation Academy and Mediation of Rwanda, a non-profit registered in Rwanda to facilitate those training, but also to organize continuous learning for mediators. I take this opportunity to inform all mediators present that we are going to start in April group practice sessions where you can continue to share experience, learn from each other, and refresh back on the skills you learned. Coming back to this Intake 7, it is the largest group since we started in 2018. It is a group comprised of participants from the private sector, the civil society, the commissioners of the Human Rights Commission, banking sector such as PPR, microfinance such as SACO. We have also members of the legal profession, Bar Association, bailiff, notaries, judges, registrars, senior and senior staff from the Ministry of Justice, and other government agencies that play a role in handling citizen complaints. This group is comprised of 100 to 21 participants. Out of the 121, 115 have successfully completed the course. Congratulations to all. I appreciate the time we spent together from October last year. I believe that taking time to come every weekend on Sunday or Saturday, this shows a big commitment. Thank you for your effort and your commitment to this training. My appreciation goes also to the collaboration with all stakeholders in the implementation of this training. You know that mediation is now in its beginning, and the judiciary offers to avail the main hearing room for those people to come and sit together and learn together. So we very much appreciate Honorable Chief Justice this collaboration, and this shows that even though we don't have enough means for developing mediation at the beginning, if we can put all our effort together, we can achieve. My thanks also to the staff of the judiciary. I know that it's not easy, but the IT team was always available on the weekend to support us. My thanks to the Bar Association, bailiff Secretariat, and my colleague at the Court Mediation Advisory Committee. We work together to make sure that the training is well attended. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you are now it's time to enjoy your effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bernadette, introducing the team. And right now we're going to hear from Madam Susan, the journey with Emma. Thank you so much.
Is this good? Okay. Honorable Chief Justice Harrison Mutabazi and other distinguished guests, thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. And finally put faces to all the names. This was a very extremely large group, but you did great. You did fantastic. The assessments were very well formulated, and I can tell you, I think the assessment team really enjoyed hearing from you because everybody came from a different aspect, and everybody reflected that in their assessments. So I think for them it was very interesting to see what people are learning and what they're going to use, where they're going to use the mediation process and go forward in their career. I appreciate especially your patience with the assessment feedback, because I know sometimes it was a little bit longer than we had promised, but this was such a large group. You've all worked very hard, no doubt, and under the stewardship of Bernadette, you've done a great job. This is amazing. We had 96% completion graduation rate. That's amazing. It's rather unprecedented. And for those that were not able to complete, don't worry, you can still do it. And it's not too late. So remember, once a member, always a member. We will be sending out emails, we'll be holding our monthly webinars. If you have any questions about the mediation process and how you are using it, reach out to me. Most likely others have those same questions, and that would be a great topic for a webinar. So please, thank you very much, and we look forward to following your mediation journey as you go forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, for navigating the team to this end. And now we'll transition into the representative of the INTEC. We'll be sharing the lessons learned, and we begin with Mrs. Fiona Mwanjewa. Please come forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Point of correction, I'm not Fiona, I'm Patricia Mwanjewa. Thank you. Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Chief Justice Emeritus, Honorable President of Rwanda Bar Association, facilitators from Emma team, our one and only facilitator, Madame Bernadette, fellow graduates, mediators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a rare honor and privilege to address you today on behalf of all the graduates for the 7th intake of the mediation course. This course kicked off on the 5th of October 2022 and was a demanding 5 months course done simultaneously with our day-to-day work responsibilities, which combination was somehow stretching on our side, but at the same time, a thriving journey that was worth it. We are extremely grateful to our government representatives here present for their tireless efforts to join hands with different stakeholders to ensure that mediation as an alternative dispute resolution mechanism is introduced and actually realized in Rwanda. All of us know that litigation in courts is cumbersome, time-consuming, and expensive. Mediation as an alternative means of dispute resolution comes at the right time. We are therefore appealing to you, Honorable Chief Justice, though a lot is in progress, having heard from previous presentation, actually a lot is in progress and yet to be realized, but we must emphasize this. All the necessary policies, laws, rules, and regulations, including litigation on professional mediators, should be put in place in order to operationalize this profession of ours. This once done, we hope to improve justice administration in our country. We are also grateful to our facilitators who have been taking us through this very well organized, results-oriented, full of wisdom and exciting course that cuts all life domains where a human being meets another. Particularly, we have to mention Mr. Bruce Edwards, Madame Susan Edwards, and Madame Bernadette Wicheza for a job well done. You were there for us all the time, whether in a group, whether on an individual basis. You've been clarifying issues, offering guidance, and uncomplicated mediation experiences. This course was extremely revealing and humbling. As graduates, we are very much committed that our relationships with families, or our individual families, neighbors, workplace members, and community members at large is going to be more qualitative, less demonizing, less biased, and less judgmental. The impact of listening attentively to others, valuing other people's opinions, providing timely feedbacks, to mention but a few, is going to be much more beneficial to ourselves and to the community as well. We realize that if we are to be real mediation professionals, it is necessary to put in place continued professional development programs that will help us remain relevant at the marketplace. This can be done through regular training workshops, seminars, conferences, intermediate and advanced courses, because each and every module covered in this course deserves a further and deeper study. We therefore request that mechanisms be put in place to actualize this recommendation of continuous professional development. We at the same time realize that the majority of Rwandans are not yet fully aware of the usefulness, importance, and relevance of this alternative dispute resolution mechanism. It will therefore require much effort in building this awareness within our community, and it is our request that this process be intensified for justice administration improvement purposes. Again, Honorable Chief Justice, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, on behalf of my colleagues here present and those that are not here, including my own CP, call them CP, class representative, the head class representative who is not here, we thank you so much for your attention. Meanwhile, I give the microphone to the MC. Before I give it to you, Honorable, I would like to conclude my speech by recognizing some of us who have been so much instrumental in this journey of why we took a mediation course. And let me call my colleague, Justice Geraldine, to complete me by doing the following. Thank you, Honorable.
My Lord Chief Justice, our dear guests, colleagues in different backgrounds, I'm so honored this evening to be tasked by my class to do one thing, just to say a few things about the gifts we're going to give to our selected people, friends, or the people that have been so instrumental in our program. We will start with Madame Wicheza. She is So Madame Eldette has been such a great person in our program. She's a trainer, but she's so patient. Some of us could not understand the English language very well. Others were coming in late, but we expect to pick up and then really get to understand that the people came at the beginning of the class. There were times that the internet there was poor connection. Please come, please admit, please, thank you. Despite all the challenges, she always found a way. In the face of uncertainty, she always found a way. She's going to open it so you can see what it is. habaga hari ibibazo binyuranye ariko igihe cyose habaga hari isuku kandi akeye. So we learned from her that in mediation you have to be patient, you have to be gentle but firm, smiley but firm. We found all that in her. So she can show you a gift that we have. So sometimes we relax. Think about it. Even when you are in the hot bed, in the hot room of mediation, sometimes you need to relax. Visit Rwanda, come to Rwanda, just relax. If I can say one more thing, this is just, if you look at it, it's just a decoration, isn't it? To some of us in Rwanda, we are used to this decoration. But it has two colors, white and black. So I was thinking, we thought as a class, that in the face of uncertainty, the black signifies uncertainty. She always found a way. So the white, when it is, we are not for the next step, she always found a way. So the white color represents certainty, finding a way. And if you can see the way the tweets are going, when you see these tweets, sometimes you need to go back and forth. Play with a few things, a few strategies to get to where you want. So mu magambo make aya ni amabara n'umukara n'umweru, hari igihe habaga hari utubazo muri class. Iri bara ry'umukara ni igihe habaga hari utubazo atazi uko bigenda. Ariko kubera imbaraga muri be z'ubuhuza, guhugurwa kamere, yashoboraga kubona ibisubizo akajya agenda. Rero mu magambo make, we are so grateful. Thank you. The next one is Madame Susan Edwards. Thank you so much. So Susan, we love you so much. We are so happy to meet you. Some of us were calling, texting you, emailing you last hour, but you are a woman of strength. Susan will be mentioned, she has her own particular gift. And she should also be mentioned in the gift that we shall give to Mr. Edwards, not as your husband, but as Mr. Edwards. So we are trying to be quick, the net is open. So, yeah, it's fine. We are literally, but it's okay. Yeah, so you can. This is Wanda, please come again. Yes. You came for official work, but come to this one. Expert Wanda, not Wanda, love Wanda. So sometimes while in the park, So there are two gifts of. Yes. Yes, on the Rwandan beach, in the park, just come and visit Rwanda and enjoy Rwanda. This is just on the weekend, walk around with Mr. Bruce Edwards. Put your things and remember this is Rwanda. So, now, much as these two gifts look a little bit similar to Madame Wicheza's gifts, you can see there are two different colors. These are about 3 colors. These are 2, but the 2 colors go together very nicely. Now, we have realized that in mediation, sometimes you try a strategy, it doesn't work. You can think of something like this, or it works, but for one stage. For the next stage, possibly if you do this, it will work better. So if you put the two items together, if you were to put them on a wall, the decor matches perfect well because of the color. Now, just a second. I will cover this word now. For you to come up with this, you must be a great thinker. To come up with these colors going back and forth, the design must be a designer. You must be a big thinker, a great thinker, an artist, a woman of detail. We've seen you doing this in our program. You are not forgetting any single individual. Every single person that comes to you with any questions, time, you need it all together. And today we can celebrate as a class. We see ourselves in all this. All these are practices. So murumva rero nyine kugira ngo ayo mabara yo kuyajyana icyo mvuze abajyanye neza, ariko kugira ngo ugire aka kantu bijyana ubuhanga, hari ibigerageza bimwe bindi bikanga. Murabona ukuntu agiye, ibyo byose ni imbaraga z'ibitekerezo yatugaragarije mu gutegura, mu bufatanye bwe adufasha ku rugendo rwacu rwo kwiga. Murakoze cyane. Thank you so much. We'll put it all together. We'll package for you. Thank you so much. Undi twari tugiye guha kadoni Mr. Edwards, please. Mr. Edwards. Yes. Mr. Edwards, thank you so much. You've seen most of us taking pictures with you. It's unfortunate not all of us could do that, but some of us did. That's to show you how we really wanted to see the kind of person that is behind all this. We think that you've made a great contribution to the Republic of Rwanda, particularly in the justice sector. Why do we do mediation? To help parties resolve their conflicts or their disputes. It's better than litigation. It's a journey that is sometimes back and forth. In Rwanda, mediation is just a baby coming up, growing. So when you make all these every single effort that you make in training, in coming to Rwanda, you are holding Rwanda and walking us through stages of growth. Maybe we are not at a teenage age, we are just toddlers, baby. But every single step that you take, you are helping us to walk towards a stable Rwanda, a sustainable country. So thank you so much. We have gifts for you to recognize your contribution to building peace through mediation. Maybe we'll need somebody. Most of you are from Rwanda. Just put that Susan and show them that you're from Rwanda. Mr. Bruce, you come for work. We understand very well that you're traveling back tomorrow. You haven't visited Rwanda. You just came to Rwanda, so visit Rwanda, right? Just come for a tour through Akagera National Park. Go to Musanze. There are several places to visit in Rwanda. So that is to show that we are welcoming you for another session when you are not under pressure of work. Now, for this one, it has, in Kinyarwanda, this is ingabo, and this is a basket. Agasi. Ingabo is a shield. This is a basket. Now, if anything, for people to feel secure in your hands, you need to shield them. You need to protect them. So we've understood that in mediation, people must have trust in you. People must have confidence in you. Yes, you are a facilitator, but you are their leader in one or another. They must feel secure in your hands because they trust with every single thing that concerns their heart. Anything that is hard for them, they entrust it to you. Now, in terms of the basket, there are two significant things we want to talk about this basket. The basket of peace. But also, usually when our girls are going to get married, we give them a gaseche to mean where you put your secrets. You've told us that in mediation, somebody has opened up his heart to you. He's opened up to you. He's entrusted you with all his secrets. And you told us, Mr. Bruce, that if you have party B, they're in waiting room A, another one is in room B. Do not mix people's secrets. What you tell group A is not what you're supposed to tell you. As you walk back and forth, just put it. Let every single group have its own secrets kept inside your heart. Mr. Bruce, we've taken so many lessons. So, as you take this gift back home, remember that you've understood the core message, the core subject in mediation, that we need to, that parties need to find security in us. We must have security. They must feel secure in our hands. There should be strategies. Also, this is also significant for strategies. So back and forth. Try this. Sometimes you find one of the trainers say, if everything else fails, just take a walk. You walk with the party. Discuss. So even here is a symbol of strategies. As you sit together, you should think with them and strategize. Thank you so much. We'll pack it for you later. So, amasomo twarayumvise tumbuye ko twayumvise yuko kugira ngo ubu muhuza mwiza ugomba kubika amabanga yabo uhuza kandi barakwizera ukabika amabanga yabo abitsa amabanga akomeye. Niba udashobora kubika amabanga yabo uhuza nabo yabo uhuza ntabwo uhuza ufite nta nicyo wize. Niba badashobora kukwizera ntacyo wize. Bagomba kumva muri wowe bafite barinzwe amabanga yabo akikije kuko baba bakomereye mu mutima badashobora kumerera undi. Ubwo rero ni ikintu gikomeye twizeye yuko twize. Just one thing about that basket. Now, if I can relate it with Susan. 2 days ago, I happened to watch Mr. Bruce saying this, that you are inviting me to the table to say a few things. But if he can confess, as he was confessing, that it is Bernadette and Susan who are behind all this that we see, they are movers. So, Mr. Bruce, we can see Susan in partnership. She's the heart in that basket. She keeps a lot of secrets for you. She's the mover, she's the enabler. You are the leader, but she's the enabler, she's the host. Thank you so much. My Lord Chief Justice, our class has tasked me I happen to be going to talk about it because the Chief Justice Emeritus, for whom we heard the gift, is not here, but I can just say a few things. We have a gift for him, because when we see mediation in Rwanda, we think about Professor Mjeji. It is his baby, and he has left behind a legacy. And today we are the products of some of the initiatives that he actually took. We are he's lucky that he's still able to see us, to see the baby growing, even to bear other babies and other babies and other babies. And we are so grateful to him. He's not here so that we can tell you this, but we are so grateful to him for the legacy, and we wish him very well. And we are so grateful that he's not even left the baby in the hands of the current Chief Justice, just like that. He's still doing a few things here and there to keep the baby growing. Or if you can think of a plant not the side of a baby, he's still removing weeds, watering, trying to ensure that the plant of mediation in the society of Rwanda grows. Thank you so much, fellow colleagues. And now it is the turn of our Lordship, the Chief Justice. Come forward and, my Lord, I know Judge is sick, but allow us to give you a gift while standing. My Lord Chief Justice, we are so grateful, our cast is so grateful for your leadership. My Lord, there are times, my Lord Chief Justice, there are times when leaders come, there are times when new occupants of the office, or new leaders coming, or new office holders coming, and when they find several things that another person, they are succeeding. My Lord Chief Justice was saying that there's something that we also want to be grateful for. Sometimes when people come to office, they try to be new and try to put in their own things. That even when there's something that is very important for a society, even when something is very, very special, useful, they still kill it because they want to shine alone. Forgetting that building on something, you shall be better. Forgetting that building on something, you become stronger. So, my Lord Chief Justice, thank you so much because you found a baby. A baby was left in your hands, the baby of mediation. Every single day, you are still making connections to ensure this baby is surviving. Yes. My Lord Chief Justice, thank you so much for all the many efforts you are making to ensure that mediation as a process is contributing to sustainable peace, to justice. My Lord Chief Justice, there is a shield, and there are the arrows. As I gave an example, think about the process of mediation you want as a baby. For a baby to walk with you, even if you are a trusted father, you need to show some level of strength. The baby needs to feel shielded. If they need something that is so scary, they need you to do something that gives them hope. My Lord Chief Justice, you gave our class hope. You are our strength, you are our laborer, you are the move of all the things that we have been doing. We feel strengthened, we feel encouraged, and we are ready to move forward as mediators. Thank you so much for your inshingano bambaye zishojeje ibyo navugaga kuri Chief Justice wacu ni ikintu gikomeye kuko we don't take it for granted as a class yacu ni tubibona. Umuyobozi araza agasanga hari ibitekerezo byiza cyane, undi yagezeho hari imishinga myinshi initiatives undi yari afite, ariko akabitera umupira kuko ari ushaka yaje muri ofisi akabikikinga. Ariko Chief Justice yabonye umwana watangiye kuvuka no wenda ataragagiye witwa mediation, aramufata ukuboko aramukomeza aravuga ati imbaraga ze nizo zawe, yemerera kurera, yemera kurera abandi banga kurera icyo basanze muri offices occupies. Ntimuzaba abayobozi babi, ntimuzange kurera ibitekerezo byiza byubaka sosiyete nyarwanda. Imana ibahe.
Akoze cyane mwongere mubahe amashyi. We're transitioning to the last speak before we do the certification. I will request Mr. Bruce to come for the mediation practice, just a synopsis to try and see how we can go on with this.
Thank you, Bruce. Honorable Chief Justice, I have no idea how we follow that. It has been a wonderful week here, and Susan and I have been humbled by the generosity and hospitality and the opportunity to meet all of you, or many of you in person, to rekindle old friendships. As far and wide as we travel around the world, Rwanda holds a special place in our heart, and I hope that's reflected in all that we do. We get much more than we give, and I honestly mean that. I'm going to abbreviate a few remarks here, because today really is about you more than it's about me. And I want to celebrate that going forward. I grew up in a small town in Northern California. At the time, a town, like so many, with parks and churches and schools, homes, but not a lot going on, except a couple miles down the road, there was a man who was tinkering in his garage, a young man, older than I, but working with another man with mechanical equipment. And in the not too distant future, they were to develop the first personal computer in their garage. And that man, of course, was Steve Jobs, went on to found Apple Computer. So I've always sort of followed his life and been inspired a lot by things that he's had to say, as he was truly a unique, creative, and innovative thinker. At one point, toward the end of his life, he gave a commencement address to a graduating class at Stanford University. And at the time, he had cancer, although that wasn't public knowledge, and his time was limited. And one of the comments that he said to the audience that day resonated with me. He said, "Your time here on earth is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Have the courage to follow your own heart and your own intuition, because they somehow already know what you truly want to become." And it's that concept that really we need to live our lives to the fullest that resonates with me and really inspires me to do the kinds of things that Susan and I do day in and day out. First and foremost, congratulations to all of you. We don't take for granted for a moment the time and energy that you take away from your professional lives and your families to study the important lessons that mediation has to offer. And the good news for everyone is that mediation in Rwanda is a blank canvas. It's really waiting for your artistry. It's waiting for your brushstrokes to define and draw the picture, paint the picture that will represent the future of mediation in Rwanda. But there is some more difficult news, and that is that it doesn't just happen. I know you've now completed a first course in mediation skills, and you're looking around saying, where are the mediations? And I'm going to talk to you in a moment about where they are. But at the moment, I want to start by letting you understand that it's still incumbent on all of you to put in the hard work and patience and perseverance that will be necessary to establishing your unique and individual career path. You heard the Justice Emeritus earlier, before he had to leave, mention briefly some of my story, which was simply that I left the law firm early in my career because I was disheartened with how I had been taught structurally, both in law school and the law firm itself, to address my clients' legal problems. And I thought there was a better way. The more I searched and thought about it, the more I realized there was a better way. And that really became the genesis of what we've done with the Mediation Academy, with my mediation career. But I don't share that story with you because I somehow feel the need to extol my success, far from it. I really share that story because at the time I was in my early 30s. When I left the law firm, I had a plan. I had faith in an idea, but that was about it. I did not have professional gravitas. I wasn't a retired judge. I didn't have venture capital backing, wasn't even a senior partner in my law firm. I was just a young lawyer with an idea and a passion for what I was about to pursue. And I share that story with everybody because I hope that it inspires you to think about your own selves and your own ability. We talked a lot about, in the last few days, about mediation with a variety of groups. But one of the things that's so impressive with Susan and I is how far you've come. And the benefit of being able to visit periodically is we see that progress, and we see the significant progress that's been made from those early days when we first arrived, talk about mediation as a concept. It's now so much more, and you're all to be congratulated for your role in developing it. I'm going to talk, because I know I'm supposed to, about practice development and what that means. We always start with that conversation by trying to help people think about your own mindset. We call it the mediator's mind because ultimately moving forward, your mental dialogue with yourself influences how you perceive yourself and how you see your intervention with others in the mediation world. So you begin in this process of next steps by identifying your strengths, thinking about, are you a good listener? Are you empathetic? Are you good with crowds? For example, Madam Patricia, we don't need to ask what her strengths are, they're obvious. But for the rest of us, it takes some self-reflection, some self-assessment. And then you need to identify your passion. What is it that's going to get you up in the morning? Are you excited about mediating commercial cases of a particular type? Are you excited about mediating community disputes like our featured guest was talking about earlier? How about cross-border disputes, of which there are many in this day and age? There's just lots of problems out there that could benefit from mediated solutions, and we'll talk more about that moving forward in a few minutes. But find your passion and marry it to your skill set. And as I tell our children, you'll never work another day in your life, because every day you'll get up out of bed, you'll be enthusiastic about what you're doing, and you'll be making a difference. There is no substitute for planning going forward. I know sometimes people think that hope will get you there, but as the saying goes, hope is not a plan. Planning is a plan. And that means a firm business plan to structure whatever it is you contemplate doing going forward, with sort of financial benchmarks, structural benchmarks, accountability along the way. And that's both a short-term benchmark and a long-term benchmark. So much has been said this week about the progress of mediation in Kigali. The short-term benchmarks seem fairly evident. But I'm reminded of a friend of mine who's part Cherokee, American Indian, who told me the story once about the village elders in the Cherokee Nation who didn't make the business decisions without contemplating its impact with 7 generations ahead, which is about 120 years. So both short-term and long-term thinking is required to really instill a culture of mediation. We talked a little bit, or listened to a little bit today, the substantive expertise discussions. I want to comment on that for a moment. We're at its nascent or early stage of mediation development in most of your careers. And for now, it's process expertise that we've been training you around. And I continue to believe that's what's going to advance your career, process expertise. The better mediator you are, the more skilled and fluent you are in mediation skills, the more success you'll have regardless of what your career trajectory looks like. But that said, in the United States over the past 20 years, there has been a movement toward specialization amongst mediators. Whether mediators choose to work with a background in construction, in employment, in high-tech, banking, it really depends on what your passion is and where the industry takes you. But just last week we were in Cairo and we were listening to the financial regulators talk about how they wanted us to come spend time training their mediators, but they wanted mediators from within their industry, those that spoke the same language, that understood the leverage points in disputes. So be attentive to that as you move forward in your careers, and as you try and develop your career path, think about the benefits of specializing based on your own experience and skills. There's a lot to be said about continued skill development, and while you've taken the most important first step, there's much that remains to be done. Continue to blend both theoretical learning and experiential learning, meaning that after you've had a year or two of experience in whatever chosen field you pursue, go back for further education. because it will resonate differently, I assure you, after you've had 10 or 20 or 50 mediations than it might have at the beginning of your career. So continue that effort to educate yourself and study related disciplines along the way. Just a couple of examples. Many of you know my background was in psychology educationally before I went to law school, and that has fueled a passion for me to continue learning about how the brain works, and how biases develop within ourselves and influence how we communicate and how we interact with others. But don't overlook the other disciplines as well, things like trauma-inspired therapy or economics, as we contemplate selling the cost of conflict in discussions with business leaders. So become a student for life, because mediation really invites you to do that lifelong learning. There's a lot of specifics that we could get into in terms of implementing one's career path in mediation. We do have a course on that for those that might be interested in more detail. But a few things that have been said today probably bear a little bit of additional comment. People talked about marketing mediation, developing a system or a systemic approach to marketing mediation. Look, I was never a salesperson. I had one summer in high school where I walked door to door and knocked on people's front doors trying to sell encyclopedias, back when we had hard copies of books that were encyclopedias. And I probably had the door closed in my face multiple times a day, to the point where I felt I never was going to be a salesperson in life. But when I got to this point of having to convince people that mediation made sense for their use, it really became very easy. And it became easy because I realized I wasn't selling vacuum cleaners. I wasn't selling used cars. I was selling a process that was going to benefit people's lives. And if I could just get a moment of their time and attention to really understand the potential of this process, I could truly help them. And with that motivation, I had a completely different mindset. And selling mediation became not selling, but really offering a way to improve people's lives. There's lots of different specific techniques for trying to implement your mediation practice. One of my favorites and most important, I think, is trying to develop a support structure around you. It's awfully hard in life to do something on your own. In fact, when I went in the first instance to begin the very first mediation practice, as sort of humble as our beginnings were, I did have a partner. And there were those days where I came back tired, bedraggled from having law firms close their door in my face as I talked about this new process. And I was picked up immediately by my partner, who had just spent 3 hours talking with the newspaper reporter and had talked him into promoting this big story about us in the Sunday newspaper. And it was those moments of mutual inspiration that sort of kept us going through the dark moments of our individual successes and failures. So look for a network of support. Not only support, but really education. We used to call them breakfast club meetings to develop the concept. I now refer to them as reflective groups, because the idea is to come together and reflect on your shared experiences, not just in career development, but in actual mediations, so you can begin the process of learning from each other. Mediation can be a very lonely profession, because so much of what we do occurs behind closed doors. We don't have the opportunity for immediate feedback in terms of the things we do. So we have to delay that. We have to take that into moments like reflective groups, where we can have some shared experience with others who are similarly trained. So don't overlook the value of that. We talked earlier today on the DS about talking with groups, and I don't think mediation will get beyond that childhood stage to its teenage stage, much less adulthood, until we do a better job of instilling the education of mediation in broader society. And that means reaching out and teaching young school children, instilling mediation processes in schools, talking to local sports clubs, and really preparing the next generation to deal with conflict in a fundamentally different way. That's one of the challenges that lies ahead. But it begins with each of you being emissaries for this message and going out and talking to those people that will listen and trying to invite them to think about conflict in a different way. And teach the message of mediation when you're given the opportunity. Above all else, just exude optimism in this experience. Enjoy it. Know that you're bringing help to needed people who are often at the most difficult time in their lives and who are suffering often because of it. And you hold the key that unlocks the door to some ability to reconcile their differences and move on to be more productive in their lives. And all the while, look for opportunities to gain experience in mediation. I know people will say to me, well, Bruce, how do I do that? I've got my mediation card, I've got my certificate from Edwards Mediation Academy. Where's that first opportunity? Well, that first opportunity may be in a court annex mediation program. It may be in volunteering for a community-based mediation program, as our guest so eloquently said earlier this afternoon, trying to deliver these processes to those who can least afford it is part of our broader mission and shouldn't be overlooked. So volunteering to mediate within community moments is of tremendous value. Shadow mediators, friends of yours who are maybe a little further ahead in the mediation community, ask if you can go along and observe how they're mediating a case. But don't overlook role-playing exercises in your reflective groups. There's a lot we can learn from practicing, even if it isn't in the real moment. So all of those things are first steps, but they're just that. What's really going to distinguish you when you get that first opportunity to have a door open and for you to walk through it to assist somebody in one of the more difficult moments in their life is how you demonstrate your mediation skills. So all of these things I've been talking about are ways to try and get within that door, to get that first opportunity. But ultimately, when you're there, that's your opportunity to shine, to demonstrate all the things that you've been learning, all the things about listening to people, all the things about demonstrating empathy and understanding. And just like those packages that we saw a few minutes ago, it struck me in the moment, I'm watching a mediation unfold. There's difficulty sometimes in trying to unwrap that package. Sometimes the scissors don't work. Sometimes pulling hard and brute force doesn't get you where you need, and you have to come at it from the other side. And you pour through different layers over time. And ultimately, when it unfolds in front of you, you see something there at the heart of the package, and it's truly a gift. And that's really what mediation is all about when you're struggling to try and unwrap that package. So there are a multitude of career opportunities out there ahead for you. I'm fond of telling people when I have the opportunity to give these kinds of talks, the vast majority of career paths in dispute resolution available to you have not yet been invented. Think about that. The vast majority of career paths in dispute resolution available to you here in Rwanda have not yet been invented. That means it's simply an exercise in trying to match your passion with a particular career choice. And career opportunities are manyfold. We know from our experience in the United States, not just commercial mediation opportunities in a variety of different settings, or family law mediation, or court annex mediation, but community mediation, as I've said already. Developing ombuds positions within institutions, whether they're universities or hospitals or high-tech companies or government services. Many opportunities to bring dispute resolution techniques within these large institutions. Teaching. Some of you will find your calling being a professor. Some of you will find your calling being an elementary school teacher, teaching conflict resolution as part of the curriculum to young students. A growing field, of course, is online dispute resolution. If we learned anything during the last 3 years in our forced marriage between technology and law, is that there is an opportunity to resolve certain types of disputes online. And while many of us with sort of historical resistance to that as a message are coming around slowly and realizing there's a whole new generation that's very comfortable working online in a format of dispute resolution, and that shouldn't be overlooked. Preventative dispute resolution programs. So far, we've just been talking about triage. We've been talking about what happens when a dispute ripens to a point that it comes to the court, or it otherwise bubbles up to the surface. Preventative dispute resolution is an entirely new area, and 7 or 8 years ago, I had the privilege of doing a teaching program at Stanford University Hospital, not to their lawyers, not to their risk managers, but to the heads of their physicians, to the heads of their nursing staff, to the CEO and the CFO and all the decision makers at my university. And one thing that came from that was a sincere appreciation that if you can get to disputes before they ripen to the point where litigation is required, you've done that institution a great service. So be thinking about those ways where one can address conflict in more meaningful ways. Know that we're never going to eliminate it. It's part of the human condition. But we can manage it in more productive ways. And to get at that at an early stage is a career in and of itself. So there's a whole other area out there, and I'm going to keep my comments limited. But cross-border disputes in this world where boundaries, be they country, geographic boundaries, or religious boundaries, or cultural boundaries, they simply don't matter as much as they had in the past. We are becoming more of one world, and our problems are becoming more of a problem for all of us, regardless of borders. But that said, I've got a lot of confidence in the direction that Rwanda is headed. Why? Because we've seen it. We know you have a culture. We know you have a culture of dispute resolution at a local level that really just needs to be tapped back into. We know that from conversations this week that clients are becoming increasingly more sophisticated and demanding of mediation services. We know that the Bar Association is receptive to ongoing dialogue about how to marry the interests of lawyers and clients with mediation. And most importantly, what we've just seen in the last week with all of you and all of the enthusiasm is really telling us that you're on the right course, and it's really just a matter of time before you can achieve your objectives. So I'm going to leave you with a thought, and the thought is this. We know that it takes patience, we know it takes perseverance, and at times people are tempted to give up. But I encourage all of you to resist that temptation, not to give up. The problems that confront all of us are profound. And the need for experienced mediators is too great for us to give up. And so it's only fitting that maybe I turn back to the words of Steve Jobs as I close my remarks by saying, Steve Jobs once said, "We're here to make a dent in the universe. Why else even be here?" And I urge you all to think about how you can make a dent in the universe, to take your newfound skills and apply them in meaningful ways. They're going to help people in need, because that's what this profession is all about. So thank you for listening to me, and more importantly, thank you for all your good efforts in the course itself, and look forward to continuing, Susan and I, with your learning journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bruce, for the nuggets that you given. Very useful to the mediator in the house, especially the new ones, but everyone of us that is involved in mediation. So we're transitioning to our mountain top, and the moment has come, we're going to do the certification. The way we're going to be doing it is a request protocol to usher the Chief Justice to the podium. Protocol, please. We'll ask the protocol to usher the Chief Justice to the podium, and he's going to be joined by the following: Justice Ime, who will be doing the name calling for the group from the judiciary, Mr. Anastas, who will be doing the name calling from the Minister of Justice, and then Mr. Andrews, who will be doing the name calling for the group from the Rwanda Bar Association, and then Madame Bernadette will be doing the name calling for the independent. And how it's going to be done is as when they read the group, please remain standing until you conferred upon the certificate, and then they'll give you, they'll make a snapshot of all when you're standing up, and then you will sit. And that is how we're going to do in that order. And then lastly, we'll have a group photo of all the graduates on the steps. The protocol and the photo people have seen where we're going to be having a group photo, so don't worry about the group photo. We'll be having it outside after everything is done. So without further ado, I request that if everything is ready, we're going to proceed with the name calling. And the first is the group from judiciary that's going to be done by Justice Ime. Please. Yes,
Honorable Chief Justice, I'm very delighted to be reading out the names for those who have completed their trainings in the Edwards Mediation Academy. And I'm very happy to have on the list 3 of my colleagues, senior judges. The first is Manishimwe Antoine. The second is Shimimana Justin. Vakirisha the Dust.
Keep studying, please. Say everyone that is reading, keep studying until you're on.
Wingaluye Alice. Pascal, Katigwa Gashongore Lorien, Mugwaneza Geraldine, Kanyange Fidelité, Akimana Violette, Wamwera Anastasie, Ndikumana Emert, Uwera Marceline, Ukiteketse Florence, Mukairere Françoise, Munyamahirwe Protogène, Mukashema Odette, Mukamugema Immaculée, and Uwizeyimana Faustine. Thank you.
By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon all those persons whose names have been read a certification in mediation by Edwards Mediation Academy. Congratulations.
Congratulations once again. Please be seated. The next group is from the Ministry of Justice that is going to be read by Mr. Anastas.
Thank you, Moderator. Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. From the group, the Ministry group, candidates were brought 26, and 23 from them have successfully conducted this training. And, those are, some are here, some others obviously have not been able to attend this event, but we have one Horo Clementine, Troyerwa André, Nesmihigo Jean d'Amour, Nyamungurwa Innocent, Mugisha Likidi Brian, Ndayisaba Pascal, Sayimana Gérard, Mulikiyimfura Anissé, Igirimana Jean-Paul, Niyonzima Tarsis, Ndaruze Mategero Christophe, Kabanda Jean-Claude, Kemirembe Melon, Nyiraneza Sara, Maniragaba Deus, Cyubahiro Fiat, Emile Mirindi Ndabagoye, Batinda Ali, Karemera Georges, Mwadi Munyantwari Claire, Ingabire Maclean, Fra David, and Kayitesi Petronile. Thank you.
By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon all those persons whose names have been read a certification in mediation by Edwards Mediation Academy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. The next group is from the Bar Association. That's going to be read by Canal Andrew.
Honorable Chief Justice, allow me to read to you the following names from Rwanda Bar Association and Professional Bailiffs Association who have successfully completed the course in mediation. They are the following: Mukakabanda and Athanasie, Kairanga Etienne, Dushimire Jeannette, Izere Iradukunda Germain, Ruzindana Fidel, Senyumva Yusuf, Niyongira François Xavier, Bahati Vedaste, Haviyaremye Ignace, Hakizimana Martin, Nangwa Hafi Jean-Baptiste, Nahimana François, Kabasi Mary, Nyirashyirambere Emiras, Nirere Safina, Munyakaragwe Aline, Uwamariya Angelique, Mukansoro Monique, Ntwari Jonathan, Baturutse, Gakwaya Pancras, Barinda Anastase, Ndayobotse Silas, Nsabimana Venuste, Mukabibi Fatuma, Ingabire Uwayo Lambert, Gashema Ntare Merci, Bagabo Jean d'Amour, Muhumwe Jean Bosco, Muhigirwa Frodouard, Barahira Eric, Ntaganda Felix, Tubonyamahoro Frederic.
all those persons whose names have been read, a certification in mediation by Edwards Mediation Academy. Congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you so very much. Lastly but not least, we have been paid. They're going to be read by Benedict.
With your permission, Honorable Chief Justice, I'm going to read to you the names of the big group we have in this intake. We call it independent because we have people coming from different sectors, starting Mukasine Marie-Claire, Cherezo Norbert, Ugeneza Pierre Celestin, Kabanda Charles, Ndaisaba Fabrice, Niyomugaba Felix, Halidinwari Camille, Musaidizi Pelagie, Makuza Desire, Semukanya Ebab, Museruka Urigande, Gahongayire Aurélie, Nyina wa Mwezi Providence, Nyirazirorera Immaculée, Uwizeye Marie-Thérèse, Kawera Marie Sylvie, Muhongerwa Patricie, Habugiyaremye Alphonse, Rutayisire Alphonse, Jean Theoneste, Nyiraneza Sarah, Babena Mahob David Arno, Gatimbayi Calixte, Mudahirana Jackson, Rutiyo Byamara Theodore, Irikina Emi, Nzeyimana Medi, Mwambutsa Amadi Wilson, Chumagawa David Theod, Mugire Rwafis Joseph, Kaitesi Olive, Sanzimana Ewelas, Umuhoza Edwidge, Murangwa Donisio, Bayingana Liliane, Kimanuka Felista, Munyentwari Alphonse, Gwakunda Christian, Nkurunziza Mohamed, Hategekimana Theophile, Rumanzi Alexis, Kilungu Telesphore, Ruhamiriza Nibangwe Jean-Marie Vianney.
By virtue of the authority and trust to me, I confer upon all those persons whose name have been read a certification in mediation by Edwards Mediation Academy. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. But to end this session, please give a big hand to everyone that's graduated. Congratulations. Thank you very much. We're coming to the conclusion of this ceremony, and thus we're going to have the closing remarks from the Honorable Chief Justice. Thank you very much.
Distinguished participants, dear graduates, Miss and Mrs. Susan Edward and Mrs. Bruce and Susan Edwards, justices, judges, member of the Bar Association, member of other professions, and all participants. Congratulations once again to all graduates. Your commitment and hard work have paid off. A special thanks to Edward Mediation Academy, represented here, as I said, by its founder and co-founder, Mr. Bruce Edwards and Mrs. Susan Edwards. I'd like really to thank you very much for starting the journey with us and continuing to accompany us on this journey. Special thanks also really for the accompanying us during this mediation week. What you have done with various sessions with different sectors, be it the Bar Association, the financial sector, and the like. As you know, in order to fulfill its mandate to uphold the rule of law through delivering quality and timely justice, The judiciary of Rwanda will continue to team up with different stakeholders in building capacity of ADR practitioners in line with the recently adopted ADR policy, which comprises, among other recommendations, we have told, the introduction of mandatory mediation in some fields instead of the existing voluntary mediation. I think this is a good pointer that the future of ADR in general and mediation in particular is bright, given its flexibility, cost effectiveness, efficiency, and confidentiality. I think I can echo what have said, what the Chief Justice Emeritus have said with regard to the journey that have been traveled so far. But also, I am not really taking these for granted. It took a collaboration, strong collaboration with different stakeholders. I have just mentioned the Edward Mediation Academy, but also the Bar Association and other partners like the organization, the LAF, and other partners that came on board to help us. We have had very positive feedbacks from different sectors, as I said, especially during this mediation week, including the financial sector, with which we had a symposium on mediation Tuesday. This is a good testimony that we are moving in the right direction. Coming again to the work that has been done by your predecessor, but also continuing to support us in the journey, and echoing what Justice Geraldine said on behalf of the whole group. Of course, for me, it is a privilege. It is a privilege to be working hand in hand with the Chief Justice Emeritus. For me, it is a privilege. What better advisor could I have better than the Chief Justice Emeritus? So it is a very a privilege, and I'd like really to reiterate that we are very happy to have the Chief Justice Emeritus chairing the court mediation committee. Again, let me stress again that the court mediation, the mediation committee has been set up just as an interim, a necessary institution, not institutionally, a necessary initiative, because we could not live in a vacuum, but different stakeholders, on top of them, the Minister of Justice, are working hard to have the regulatory framework in order. So we will be having shortly, I am sure, shortly of course, concurrently with the the enactment process by the Parliament. But I think we can be hopeful that legislation like the Mediation Act will not be controversial. So we will be having the legal framework very soon, I think, and the Minister of Justice has said that it is one of his priorities. Again, we appreciate really the gift that was given to us, not to me, because it is to the judiciary as a whole. And I thank my colleagues, especially from the committee, Justice Karimunda and Justice Mutabazi and others, that was helping us really to set up the work of the mediation. We are very hopeful really that this dispute resolution mechanism is taking place. We are very hopeful that it will go from strength to strength, and there is no reason really not to be optimistic as far as the development of mediation, but also other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms concerned. But as Mr. Edward rightly pointed out, we have really to have these continuous skill development program. So the journey is starting with you after getting this certification with the mediation skills. But as you can see, when especially someone wants to specialize, we have a long way to go. But don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. I think the road ahead is very exciting, especially given the many opportunities that are opening up. I was referring to the fact that if the law is enacted, the Mediation Act is enacted, and it is making mandatory mediation in some fields, this will trigger more opportunities for sure. So let us continue to develop our skills. I'm sure you have enjoyed the course. You have enjoyed the course as I did when I was doing my own certification. Because maybe someone among the audience will testify. I see here Dr. Masengo. We have taken in the past many courses of mediation. But when I took this one, it was unique. I'm sure that you have realized that it is very unique. It is unique in the way the course is designed. The very experienced people that are intervening, I'm sure you have liked the videos, different videos from various practitioners, various instructors from the Edward Mediation Academy. So those are the people we will be looking at as far as we go, we continue on a journey to strengthen our skills. It gives also someone, the appetite to go further. Because if you can see those experienced instructors, how they were very passionate, and this was very exciting, really journey. So congratulations once again to the graduates. You are most welcome, of course, to apply to be added to the list of court mediators. So the Justice Tawazi and the rest will process your application, and there is no problem. You will be added to the list, and of course, be court mediators. But there is no confusion that has to be made. Even if we have no legal framework yet, you can practice also for mediation out of this court mediation process. That is, if you get tomorrow, for example, a big insurance case, so be it. But be professional and uphold the ethical standards, as Mr. Edward rightly put it. So thank you, distinguished participants, for sparing time to attend this event, and thank you for your commitment to joining hands with us as we work to ensure efficient and effective administration of justice, which is a pillar of a peaceful and harmonious coexistence of people, which is, as we know, indispensable to our country's economic development. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Lord Honorary Chief Justice, for the closing remarks. And as we said last week, we are having a photo session downstairs with the Honorary Chief Justice, the graduates, and the rest of the guests that are here with the ones. So please, protocol, help us ushers out for the photo session. Thank you very much. See you there. Have a nice evening.